This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
Will.
And I am not the Southern Sega gentleman, despite what you saw on the screen there.
Nope, he's actually this guy.
Ew.
And after plugging away at all this coffee, I'm sure he's regretting this podcast.
No, I love coffee.
Oh, but he doesn't. He didn't say anything about the podcast. Just the coffee. It's all good.
That was the joke.
Okay, I'm Chris. We already said this. I'm not doing this again.
And I'm Will, once again.
Today is...
I don't even remember what I said.
You said, I don't know.
And I think I said, ew.
No, you said you're not the Southern Sega gentleman.
Oh, that's right. But now my joke doesn't work. You killed it.
Yeah, well, it's okay. We're still recording. All right.
Now I have to say that I'm that guy.
You're that guy. Yeah.
I'm that guy.
All right. So today is Throwback Thursday. All right. I know that every single Instagram account posts a Throwback Thursday picture every week, but we're different. We do videos.
I do neither.
Today we're going to talk about Shenmue, originally released in Japan. All right. We're using the Japan release date to make this work on 12/29/1999 in Japan. So that's 20 years ago, right? Yeah, my math adds up.
Yes.
In North America, it was released in November 8th, 2000. It was re-released this...
Wait. You said 12/29?
1999. That's what it said on Wikipedia.
Dude, why are we doing this today? It should have been on Sunday. It would have literally been 20 years to the day.
I could post this on Sunday, but I wouldn't feel good about calling it Throwback Thursday.
Everybody pretend like you're watching this like 3 days from now.
You know, we could just pretend this was recorded that day for all I care.
We can that day. We can that's a reference in the game. That we can pretend that they're listening to this in 3 days from now in the past, because if it's coming out on they can't pretend, dude. We can't pretend we're recording this 3 days after it's out. You're saying this video comes out on the 26th, and we'll pretend like we're recording it on the 29th.
Yes.
Look, if
it
you
makes sense when you don't
invert,
about it.
if you invert the 6, it's a 9. Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to complex time travel joke, but you went for a really basic numbers joke. That
yes, that is correct.
I'll take it.
It was
anyway,
re-released. Hi. It was re-released last year on 9/18/2018. All right, with the sequel. Wait, what did I write here? Oh, with the yeah. So Shenmue 1 and 2. Duh. Shenmue 1 and 2 in HD.
Isn't it August 21st?
August 21st. Is that, okay. I swear to God, I looked this information up.
August 21st, 2018.
That works. We'll just go with Adam's description.
I think that was it.
Okay.
I don't know. You're the one who was cheating by looking at notes.
My note says 9/18/2018, but I could be wrong. We'll just take it with a grain of salt. I've been wrong before, and I've been called out for being wrong before. So if I'm wrong, call me out. That's fine.
You could be right, but I'm pretty sure it was August 21st. But I don't know. And this calls everything we're about to say into question, because neither of us know.
Oh, boy. All right, fine. Let's look it up. I swear.
That wasn't what I was going for. I was...
Let's see. Oh, I need the first... Here we go, Shenmue. I hate how they do this on Wikipedia, where it doesn't tell you one's the series and one's the video game until you click on the next button. It's like, oh, man. The re-release is listed in here somewhere. Sequels, port. Here it is. Okay. The port's released in Japan on November 22nd, 2018.
Yeah.
Oh, 21st August. You're right. There it is. All right.
This is why you brought me up for the second, people. I know random, arbitrary, useless dates.
I don't know where I got the 9/18 from then. Whatever.
No, man.
Maybe I combined two things together and got that. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. So one of its... So back to the intro to this video. It was one of the first...
We'll undo all of this. Back to him being right. Okay.
That's exactly what this is, okay? One of the first major releases with an open world, with some critics and fans calling it a walking simulator. I don't know if Adam would say that, but that's what I read online.
We call it a Japan simulator.
That's what Persona is.
There you go.
It was quoted... Adam's going to probably correct me on this. It was quoted as costing...
I can read the note.
Sega $70 million to develop, but that number is highly contested due to details released later stating $70 million was actually used to develop an entire series of Shenmue games. Right? The
Correct.
plot.
That is an incorrect statement.
It is incorrect. Okay. Well, then why don't you fill in the blanks?
$7 million to span 4 games, only 2 of which were released.
Okay. And then
that includes marketing, publication, as well as development.
Which doesn't
4
seem
games,
extremely
and
far
2
off.
released.
Considering how much like a Call of Duty game costs to release, it doesn't seem that far off to me.
Yeah, so it's not the giant number that. So the way Sega presented it back in the day was, oh, the first Shenmue game. Yeah, this is a $70 million game. They just pulled that number out of their ass because they were like, this game's expensive, so we'll just say it's even more expensive. And since it was so expensive, people will want to buy it. But the real number was 47 million. It included both Shenmue 1 and 2, as well as the Shenmue Saturn build, which was actually very far along, like beyond what even Shenmue 3 ended at. Like that's how far into that game they were.
I've seen some
and then
footage
it also,
of it. Did you put the footage on your
really, you can
channel?
also make a case for Old Man and the Peach Tree, but that's a different thing.
Did you put some footage of the Saturn version on your channel, or was that somebody else?
It exists. It was available on the Xbox version of Shenmue 2.
Okay.
So it's like this one clip that's around, but there's some extra clips that have shown up. Actually, you know, it's your timing on this is kind of amazing. So like only a couple weeks ago, or it was even a week ago, a bunch of the original Shenmue developers were doing an interview with IGN Japan, and they were talking about Shenmue for the Saturn, and for the first time ever, one of them revealed like, yeah, Shenmue for the Saturn wasn't actually being developed for the Saturn that you know. It was being developed for another console that was in between the Saturn and the Dreamcast, a Sega Saturn II, if you will, and it never existed. So it's kind of like blowing people's minds that there was this other version of the Saturn with more capable hardware that never came out.
Yeah, but that was well known that there was another Saturn that was supposed to come out. At least I knew about that. I've seen it on other channels.
You knew about that? We'll get the Southern Sega gentleman on here and be like, dude, what up? Yeah, I didn't know that there was supposedly another console they had planned after. I'm not even talking about like the Sega Pluto. I'm talking about like a more capable version of the Saturn, but not quite on Dreamcast level. And apparently a lot of Shenmue for Saturn was built for that.
Okay. Well, I thought that it was... So I know originally they wanted the Saturn to be upgradable via that flash cart you plug in the back, correct?
That's really was designed just for memory, but...
I thought there was a slot on the back of the Saturn that they intended.
There's a VCD slot, yeah.
Okay. And I thought that originally they were intending the hardware to be upgradable, similar to how the Genesis has the 32X, but then they ended up scrapping that at some point. I thought
that's not exactly what I think that these guys were talking about. They were talking about like essentially another console. Like Sega was going to drop the Saturn and like do another thing.
Oh.
That was essentially the case. We're calling it the Saturn II because nobody really knows what it would have been. But that's more or less what they were talking about.
Because there was like, what, 3 consoles in development at the time the Saturn came out? There was the 32X, the Saturn, and the Pluto? Or was there a 4th one as
The
well?
Pluto was just a version of the Saturn that went online.
Okay. But I thought there was another hardware. There's something else at the same time. I can't think of what it was.
The Genesis was still relevant.
Well, yes. I have to go back into my research again. I swear to God, there's something else. There's like 3... I think Gaming Historian
They were working on some sort of 3D like VR type of thing at one point.
Okay.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Maybe. I'd have to look back into the annals of my video watch history and find the video I'm talking about.
It's all good.
So,
anyways, Shenmue.
What is
Chinese whale simulator? Let's go.
It's so funny that you said that in the Twitter message you sent me because I'm going to call it Billy because I think his video is too much of clickbait because he knows what Shenmue is and yet he still used extreme clickbait on his Shenmue 3 video. So I'm going to show you the title. Huh?
Me?
No, Billy. I want to show you this title and see what you think.
Me?
I don't think. I was like, Shenmue review. Oh, God. Was it not a review? Does it not count?
No,
I think
okay.
that was clickbait.
No, his all of his videos are kind of clickbaity, but in a funny way. Like, let me see. I want to find his Shenmue because he wrote Shampoo 3 Cutscene Simulator, and then the title is "This Town Literally Hates Me." Shenmue 3. But yeah, so he's like, he's just funny. But the video title, I thought it was just a little over the top. Personally, Shampoo 3, really.
Hey man, I've seen many people talk about Shamu the whale and compare it to that. You just gotta embrace the jokes, man.
So, what impact has Shenmue had on your life?
Oh, dude. So, originally it was nothing more than just a game. Actually, when it first came out, I didn't get it at all. I wasn't into it. And then, fast forward just a couple of years later, in like 2003, I ended up playing it again along with the second one. A buddy of mine kind of convinced me to revisit it. And I ended up really liking it and just being like, man, it's a shame that we never got more of this. And I would just kind of dig into it and be like, what's the status of it and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't really until I was doing YouTube where I was just like, I'm going to just keep talking about this game. Like, because I really liked it. And I would revisit it every once in a while. And I would just promote it. I'd be like, you guys should go play this game. And it really, I mean, I would make videos all the time because I was just so passionate about wanting this series back and wanting the third back. And I tried to, you have to understand the Shenmue community may not be big, but it's very organized. So like there's not a lot of Shenmue fans who sit in front of a camera and actually talk about it. We got plenty of guys who will handle all the social outlets. We have a lot of guys who will handle like the hacking scene and all that sort of stuff. But there's not many guys who are like, hey man, I'm gonna get up on camera and just like dedicate a bunch of time to talk about this game. At least that's how it was for a long time. So I'm not gonna say I wanted to be that guy. It was more like I had to be that guy because we didn't have a guy to do that. So I would constantly talk about it. And that actually led to a point where in 2013, I put out a video 2 years before the Kickstarter, basically saying, guys, if we want Shenmue 3, we're going to have to focus all our efforts on Sony, and we got to get them involved. And we did. That ended up happening. And Sony was a major part of the reason Shenmue 3 ever occurred, although they were a very different company at the time. I mean, if you remember back in 2015, Sony was like desperate for exclusive content. It was very different than where they are now.
Oh yeah.
And they were trying to appease gamers because that was hot off the heels of the failure of the PS3 and everything. I say failure from a financial standpoint. And they wanted to just make sure they had everybody happy. So they thought, maybe we can get this project going. And we know now that led to it. That was part of it. And they were majorly involved in at least getting Shenmue 3 off the ground. So I kept helping to do my best to promote it and all that stuff, but I really never thought it would go anywhere beyond that. And then ultimately, fast forward even further, Sega reaches out to me themselves and is like, we want you involved with we're re-releasing 1 and 2. We want you to be heavily involved with that. So I was helping come up with ideas for them. I got to go out to Japan with them and like help them film videos, went out to the UK and filmed other videos. And I did a whole bunch of stuff for that, and I more or less did exactly the same thing when it came around to Shenmue 3. And so it's helped me travel a lot and get a lot of perspective on the industry. It also opened a bunch of unexpected doors because it's the thing is, a lot of people, I say very falsely, credit me like with willing that game into existence. And I think it was only because, I'm serious. Like I see even on my Shenmue 3 review that just came out, you'll still see people say like, you're the reason this came out. And I'm like, no. Don't put that on. Like that was a giant community of people. I'm just the most loud and annoying. That's it. Everyone else is smarter and more reserved. But me, no. It's weird to be so tangentially connected to that franchise, even though I have nothing to do with it. Like I say in the video, really all I had to do with it is that, I'm a Kickstarter backer, and that's about it. I just like to talk about it. But industry-wise, it was like, oh, that's that Shenmue guy. Like, there's people who give me credit for that, even on that level. And so it's like, you know what? Fine, you can come up to the 2K VIP lounge. You're the Shenmue guy. I'm like, I don't know how that happened, but I'll take it. So it opened a bunch of doors that it never should have.
I'm loving these comments. They're pretty hilarious.
Right?
I don't even care about Shenmue. I'm just here for the bearded guy reviewing it.
Yeah.
How many editions of Shenmue 3 do you have? Adam, yes. Anyway, that's not the point of this video, but it is interesting. I personally, the impact Shenmue has on me is I believe that Shenmue inspired some of the game series that I love. And not directly,
the first open world game.
Not directly, but some substance of it was probably taken from Shenmue. So I know the dialogue has dialogue options, correct? In like
yep.
If I remember correctly it's been a long time since I played it, but there's dialogue options, and there's like a curve, not necessarily a morality curve, but like a curve of dialogue options that if you make it affects the story.
Yes, to an extent, but
loosely.
The amount of dialogue choices you have specifically to select from that's kind of rare. You can ask about certain questions, but most of the time it's based on wherever Rio is in progress.
Okay.
But where it changes is if you talk to characters at the right time or not, you'll change really how much interaction or relationship you develop with them.
Okay, yeah, and I think that has had a lasting impact in the industry. Those types of scenarios from Shenmue, because it was one of the first games to do like an open world with that style of gameplay. If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. It is literally the first open world game.
Yeah, walking simulator.
Precisely. Well, Japanese walking simulator.
Yes.
Unlike, yeah, like that area of Japan where that takes place in the first one. Like that's Dobuita in Yokosuka. Like I've been there like 4 or 5 times now. And I've told the story before. The first time I ever went there was completely accidental. I actually just got interviewed by EGM of all people, and for that exact reason, like, hey, can you talk about it? And hell, even you guys, you're like, hey, we want to talk Shenmue. Let's get that guy. When anybody wants to talk Shenmue, it's just like, oh, get that one guy. So that is weird. Again, I have nothing to do with it. I'm just a fan. But for some reason, everybody's like, get that guy.
Actually, the reason why we put the Shenmue on here, it was a pure coincidence. For Throwback Thursday, what I do, all right, this is gonna sound, this is gonna like throw back the curtain on how Throwback Thursday works. I go to Wikipedia, I type in the year in video gaming and look for interesting topics. Okay, and for this podcast, I was looking at things that were 20 years old, and Shenmue came up, and I was like, what? No, that came out in 2000, didn't it? I was like, oh, in Japan. Adam's gonna be on here. Let's do Shenmue.
Exactly. See, it's like I'm typecast as hell.
It's like, as I sent you the message, I was like, hey, you care if we talk about Shenmue? And you're like, the Chinese whale simulator? Or whatever you said.
I can't make fun of it, you know?
Will, does Shenmue have any impact on your life? I'm not sure.
You know, yeah, not really.
I thought
so,
that was a joke. Okay. I didn't know you were talking to Will. Sorry.
No, that's the real answer. So, basically, no, I've never played these games, and it really has been within the last, like when they re-released them in 2018, is really when I first even really somehow heard of these games. I realize it's terrible, but I somehow like missed this whole generation of gaming. Like, I was there when the Dreamcast came out. I was there for the Saturn, but I don't remember any of these games around this time. I don't know what happened. So I'm rediscovering a lot of these games now in life. But as far as how it impacted, I think, again, it inspired a lot of the games I play now. I love open world games. So, I mean, and I also like dialogue options. So, if this is really the game that broke that ground, then yeah, I mean, it impacts me every day because those are the games that I play. Yeah, but I've never played it directly.
You should. Not bad.
Everyone says that. Everyone says it's great. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
It's a strange game because it doesn't use modern gaming mechanics like at all. And the reason for that is Yu Suzuki, the funny thing about him, he doesn't play video games like at all. So he just kind of is like, he doesn't know what to do and what not to do. He just knows what he wants done. And that leads to his games being really oddly unique. Like, you know, certain ideas like a waypoint is probably something he never even thought of. You know, it's like, why would I do that? What's the point? It just takes you to where you go. What's the point of even the character? Why are you even playing? So he just approaches it differently. Like, I think it would be cool if you could walk into a house and pick everything up and just look at it. Well, what's the point of that? You can do that in real life. Why can't you do that in a game? Like, he looks at it differently than everybody else does. And that leads to a strange situation where you have a game that is incredibly immersive, but sometimes can feel very mundane. And a lot of people would interpret that as boring. But not to me. To me, Shenmue is a thing where if you embrace it and you kind of understand that the mundane aspect of it is really the whole point, it doesn't just become a game. It becomes one of those things where you just like completely identify with the character and you become engrossed in the story, and then his journey becomes your journey, which is the same reason I think that the fan base that does exist is utterly devoted to it, because they went past that barrier and they totally picked up on it. Why there's so many lunatics like me who can't help but talk about it all the time. And I just think that as many games as there are that are more popular, a lot of them don't have that kind of staying power and that kind of psychotic fan base, and I mean that in a loving way. They could actually will a game like that back into existence after 20 years of just being considered completely dead. Like, what other franchise from 20 years ago that is just dead as hell somehow made a comeback? And not a comeback and we're doing a soft reboot. They're just like, oh, we're just going to pick up straight from where we left off.
I'm
Can you name
hoping
anything?
I'm hoping KOTOR 3, but hey,
But even that's attached to a popular IP.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else like that.
Mm-mm.
Maybe to an extent, Half-Life 3, but that's not actually in development.
It's
But
not.
even that was successful. Shenmue, as much as I love it, was not successful.
I'm trying. There. You know what? I'm trying to think. I think there is a series like that. I'm trying to. Okay. Let me think about this for a while. I'll be back with this. If I come up with it, I'll be back with it in a little bit. I guess you could. So it's not true, but you could almost say that the Persona series divided a lot of fans at number 3. I don't know if you played any of them.
No, but I've heard things like that. Isn't that the birthday one or whatever it is?
A Persona
Or am I
3.
thinking-
For a second
I might
there,
be thinking of a franchise. Sorry.
for a split second there, I thought somehow your video feed came up because you ccame up on the screen, and I was like, wait, Adam's not on the video. But no, okay.
Oh, I don't count. All right, cool.
no, you're not
No,
video,
okay.
and you're just. So you could almost say, because Persona 2, all right, I don't know if you know the story of Persona 2, but kind of similar. We never got one part of Persona 2 in the Americas until the PSP release, and that happened like 10 years after the franchise basically said, nope, we're done with the original 2 that are basically Shin Megami Tensei clones with the Persona name on them. And then with 3 and on, it's essentially a completely different franchise from 1 and 2. It's like a soft remake of a game we never got in the Americas. It's similar but not the same.
Right. Yeah, but imagine. All right, so how long was the span between 2 and I guess you call this 3?
Almost 12 years.
Okay, so that's not a bad comparison. Now imagine the franchise is completely dead. It had just those 2 games, and then randomly as hell, it just came back, and it was a direct, like, we pick up the next morning. We're just going.
I would honestly love that personally.
Of course you would. That's what happened to us. It was wonderful.
I'd be completely okay if they. So we'll talk about this on Fandom Friday because I'm going to be recommending the Persona series on the Fandom Friday episode. So I'll explain my view on that later. Let's get to the next question. So what does the
Saturn.
What is the re-release? Oh, that's awesome. What does the re-release of Shenmue 1 and 2 and the release of Shenmue 3 mean for the franchise going forward? Are they going to be making more? I think I know the answer to this, but I'll let Adam talk.
Okay, well, the funny thing is people connect them because they're the same franchise, but funny enough, they might as well not be because they're not owned by the same people.
Right.
Shenmue 1 and 2 is completely and wholly owned by Sega. So they had full right to do what they wanted. And for that, they decided to, clean it up as best they could because it was a garbled mess as far as the source code goes. It took them a long time to restructure that to make it even playable. But they got it out there and said, okay, what do we support? Well, we'll put it out on, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Switch wasn't considered because at the time it was in development, Switch wasn't popular yet. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have. Mm-hmm. With Shenmue 3, they had to deal with exclusivity because that was required to even get the game off the ground. Remember I talked about how Sony was so involved initially? Whatever they did, we don't know the specifics, that made it required that it become a PS4 exclusive. But they were willing to let it go to PC, which eventually years later led to the Epic deal. So you have it only on 2 platforms. And while it will eventually come to Steam in like November of 2020, I don't think it'll hit any other platforms, at least at this point in time. Maybe in some sort of future bundle, maybe on Xbox, not Series X because it's not really its name, but or PS5 or whatever. Eventually in some sort of collection. But basically, what you're asking is there going to be a Shenmue 4? I can tell you firsthand, having spoken to Yu Suzuki to about it. Although you don't even need to take my word for it, he literally talks about it in the damn game. He wants to do it. He's 100% on board. He's ready to go. It's more about finding the right financial backers. So right now it all boils down to how well the game actually performs, and the truth is we just don't know yet how it's actually doing, at least at the time we record this.
Okay.
So I would bet that Shenmue 4 happens. Where I'm concerned is that it's supposed to end in Shenmue 5. Like that's what he stated, like that's the ending. I'm concerned that Shenmue 5 will never happen. I think Shenmue 4 will happen. I don't know if Shenmue 5 has a shot. I think Shenmue 4 can pick up basically where Shenmue 3 left off, as far as like assets and everything. I think the team's in place. They're pretty much just ready to go. But Shenmue 5, you know, it's going to be this thing where we're so much further down the line technologically at that point, and you know, the economic situation may have really changed. But I'm thinking, if we have to worry about Shenmue 5, that means we got Shenmue 4, so that's a good position to be. Does that answer that?
You're saying that basically the generation of consoles that it would appear on would require a level of graphics and probably some gameplay changes that would require significant money to do a fifth one.
Potentially.
Potentially.
I mean, I'm not a developer. I don't know where we are at that point, but I'll tell you this: Shenmue 4, if it happens, sure as hell isn't coming out on PS4, unless it's like some really belated release for some reason. Like how there's occasionally new like PS3 games that still come out, but aside, like, there's no reason to release it on PS4 by the time it's done because it's not even in development yet, and PS5 comes out next year. So whatever the next one is, if it comes out, Shenmue 4 will likely hit PS4 or PS5. But Shenmue 5, I mean, will PS5 last long enough? Shenmue notoriously takes forever between releases. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, worry about one at a time.
So, with that being said, are there other series that deserve the Shenmue 3 treatment in your eyes?
Oh, I'm sure. You know what I would love to see make a great comeback would be Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Billy would love that comment.
That has been my Microsoft or my Xbox wet dream for years. Is every damn E3 I'm sitting there thinking like, come on, guys, come on. Give me Conker. You've had this IP forever. You've never done anything with it other than that original remake, and then like you put it on Rare Replay.
No.
Man, did they get my hopes up with Super Lucky
Spark.
I was gonna say Project Spark
dropped, and it's like it's a fox with an orange tail. Oh my god, what the hell is this?
Did you miss Project Spark?
Game. This isn't Conker's Bad Fur Day 2.
Did you see Project Spark? Or you know what I'm talking about?
Project Spark. I do remember that game. I didn't play it, but that was like a really early Xbox One exclusive. I remember that.
So Project Spark had Conker in it.
Oh, that's fine, but he's still not like, it's not his game.
No, it's definitely not.
No, you could use him in the game though. That was like the teaser for this made everybody think, oh my gosh, Conker, you know. And it was like such a tease because it's like, okay, there's a new Conker in a 3D environment. Is Microsoft going to release a new Conker game? So I don't know. I know there's a lot of teasing for that. And then what is interesting though is they are doing some old Rare franchises, right? Like Battletoads.
Yeah.
That is cool to me. I mean, I'm not sure if I would buy it, but it is cool. I've played the original a bunch of times, so.
I feel like the only reason we haven't seen another Conker is because the development team that actually did it is long gone.
Oh yeah.
And it's possible that the guys in charge now just feel like they don't necessarily have the talent for it.
Did you know that during Microsoft's original acquisition of Rare, some executives actually thought they were getting Donkey Kong?
That doesn't surprise me.
Can you imagine being that guy like, oh man, we got Donkey Kong, and they're like, nope.
So have you ever heard of a guy who worked over at Paramount? His name was Les Moonves. He ran CBS. You ever hear of him?
The name.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was the guy in charge of all the new Star Trek stuff. He literally thought that Star Wars was theirs.
Oh my god!
So when Force Awakens came out, he was like celebrating, like, "Dude, we're making $1 billion!" And it's like, that's Star Wars. We don't own that. And this was the dude who was in charge of like what is determined to be a new Star Trek series. What I've learned from working behind the scenes and all that stuff is everyone's incompetent. All these, you think like, oh, dude, they're in that position, so they know a lot. No, just like Donkey Kong guy. Like, we thought we were buying it for this. Turns out we're not getting that.
I've heard the phrase thrown around, you rise to the level of your incompetence, thrown around
Pretty
before,
much.
so.
Like, fail up. That's what I did.
Well, at least you put out quality content. You know, if you failed upwards, it's okay.
Thank you.
What about you,
Not
Will?
accurate. Thank you.
What series would you love to see have the Shenmue 3 treatment? You know which series I want.
I mean, there's a couple. I don't think Fable has been dead long enough to be able to bring that one up, but I would like to see them actually finish the the Oddworld Quintology or whatever it's called. I realize that they've released some HD updates, and I guess technically the next one is like a remake of the second game. And they're finally gaining some traction, but I would like an actual new game. in that. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've seen the HD stuff, yeah. But I didn't know they were in active development of a new one. But if it's just a remake, then yeah,
It's
I see.
essentially just it's like a brand new story, I guess. It's just a remake, but it's supposed to be 5 different games, and they have yet to get past. I don't even know if the third game counts as part of that, so they're still on the second game. I would like them to finally finish it, and I mean any of the rare properties that are dead.
I thought the game I just thought of that I'm still kind of upset about is there's no continuation in story because it's not the case. But I wish that the original team from Ensemble Studios had finished all 6 Age of Empires games they had planned, because what the artwork I saw from the newer the 4, 5, and 6 that Ensemble Studios had planned would have been epic. I don't know if 4 is going to live up to my expectations, the one that they're releasing now. And on top of that, Knights of the Old Republic 3. That would be amazing if we could get that to happen. But with EA at the lead of Star Wars, I don't know.
Yeah, this sounds somewhat selfish. I was really hoping that Fallen Order would fail, because that was kind of EA's last chance.
Yeah.
And then Disney would take it away from them. But it looks like they actually delivered a game that people liked and didn't, bomb.
Right.
So I think they're going to keep the franchise, which depresses me because they'll screw it up again. They are EA.
Yes.
But this would be like the first time an EA game came out that didn't have everyone hating it. Like, I don't know how they're in business, dude, other than just tricking people into buying new sports games.
Madden.
But, yeah, exactly. So I'm disappointed because I was really hoping that would end up in the hands of like Ubisoft, because I think it would have just been much more respected over there as an IP. And you're right. As long as they have it, I don't know if you're going to see that, unless the one case you have is that their back is up against the wall because they don't want to lose the license. If they see this huge demand for KOTOR, they might just do it just to appease the fan base.
I don't even care. That'd be fine with me. I mean, they could even put microtransactions in Knights of the Republic.
I'm sure they
for all
would.
I care, as long as the base game exists. Because I want to finish that trilogy of games. And if EA makes it and they officially own the Star Wars franchise, potentially they would say that it is canon, a canon Star Wars story, which kind of bothers me.
About that is, have you guys? I know we're not really supposed to be talking about Star Wars, but did you guys see Rise of Skywalker?
Not yet.
I
I'm planning
watched
to see
several spoiler videos because I wanted to know what I was getting myself into.
All I'll say is that movie kind of, in a way, takes away the canon aspect of the Battlefront games.
Oh, really?
You'll see. We can't really talk about it, but I don't see how those two storylines can coexist.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
all.
I know what you're
Talk about it
talking
later.
about, and I guess I hadn't thought about it yet.
We'll leave it at that. But anyway, so if I could have a dream game from them, it would have been like a real Battlefront 3, not the crap they actually gave us.
Right.
Like, I did not want that Battlefront 1. That was one of my it was like hilarious. Like, other than Shenmue 3 at the time, Battlefront 3 was like the game I wanted forever. And then they delivered the EA Battlefront, which was exactly what I knew it would be. It was just EA making a game.
Yep.
Battlefront 2 was better, but still not good. And it's the one that almost broke that franchise, like right before Last Jedi did. And yeah, so I would still like them to make like an actual competent Battlefront game based on the older ones, which is you would think is really not that hard. The formula for those games was not rocket science, man. But that doesn't have microtransactions, so it's not interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway, sorry, deviating.
If there was one game of all the games I've ever played that deserves the Shenmue 3 treatment, Kickstarter, fan base pushing it, it's Knights of the Republic 3. I really feel strongly about that franchise. I love Knights of the Republic. And if anybody's going to do it right now, it'd be cool to see BioWare return to form and create a Knights of the Republic 3 that was a worthy sequel to a game series, as opposed to like Mass Effect Andromeda, which I didn't like that game. Personally, I really didn't like that game. And it was not worthy of the Mass Effect name at all. But supposedly they're going to make a Mass Effect 4, so we'll see.
Well, good luck.
With that being said, is there any closing remarks you wanted to put out about Shenmue?
Go buy Shenmue. I don't know. I get nothing from this. So, I don't know. Support if you want a Shenmue 4. All you gotta do is vote with your wallet. Buy Shenmue 3.
Yep.
That includes the two of you. I know you didn't.
I'm planning to pick up probably 1 and 2 in the near future. Persona's been dominating my playtime lately though, because I just got done with the other game I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if you have Xbox Game Pass, I think 1 and 2 are on it.
I do, but I only have a PC right now. My Xbox One no longer exists at this moment in time.
Okay. I think Game Pass, it's still on there.
Is it on the PC version? For free?
I think so.
I'll have to check it out.
Oh, Shenmue's on Game Pass?
Yeah. Shenmue
Oh
1
my
and
gosh!
2.
All right, I have no excuse not to play it now.
Will's gonna go play it.
Enjoy.
Now. All right.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
I'm the Shenmue guy.
Other Dreamcast guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not me. I'm just other people.
We will.
I'm just not other people. There we go.
We will see you
On the next CHRILLCAST.